Hey, everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew.
This week, we are continuing with part two of our repitch for what a phase one of the DCEU would look like, which is fitting considering we've also got a ton of news that dropped this week, and some of it kind of has to do with the continuation of the DCEU. So, looky what happened here. Right off the bat, let's talk about Matt Reeves is now officially making his first steps on the Batman sequel. He's been meeting with writers to begin work on the Batman 2. We talked last week about how they've already finished the first draft of the script for the Penguin series and how it takes place a week after the Batman. But now apparently they're also working on other projects with other characters from the Batman villains catalog, including Scarecrow, Clayface, and of all things, Professor Pig.
Okay.
I okay.
Professor Pig kind of makes sense because he's just a psychotic guy with a pig head. I mean, and I mean that by a mask. He's not actually a pig.
Yeah.
So I can kind of get into the weird thing he's doing. But but then I'm trying to think what else. Then, like, you know, what was the other one? Man, I'm losing my
Scarecrow and Clayface.
yeah. Scarecrow makes sense. Like that's the dude.
Yeah.
Talk about instilling fear, whether it's making up a well, I'm not going to go there. Making up something that the whole world's going to freak out about. I mean, I mean, we just look at our world today, and if you could create something that people will go on either side of, you've already instilled so much fear that people will turn on themselves. You don't even have to give them drugs, you know. But Clayface is the one. Like,
And
huh?
yeah. Here's the thing with Clayface. Like, he's a villain I've wanted to see done correctly in live action for a long time. One of my dream pet projects is a Batman Clayface like horror movie type Batman story. I wrote a spec script for an idea of it that I haven't shared with anybody that I'm actually very proud of because there's a cool scene in it. But that's the one of these three that really has me going, huh? Because like Scarecrow, I think could 1000% work with the Battinson universe that we're in. Professor Pig is one that I think most people wouldn't think of. It wasn't until he showed, and I know you haven't played it, but it wasn't until he shows up in Arkham Knight that I was like, yeah, he really could work. And it's a character that, like, if they take it that route, I almost feel like, I think the reason I've never considered it is I feel like it would be almost too dark and too fucked up for for this, but I could be wrong. I'm sure there's a way to do it. But yeah, Clayface is the one out of these four, if you consider the Penguin. When you look at it with Robert Pattinson's Batman, it's like, really? Really?
I mean, I think I said it when we discussed it a little bit before of like, if you play with the idea that maybe he's more of like a special effects chameleon and he just calls himself Clayface and you don't really know what he looks like, if you want to keep it kind of grounded, that's a possibility. But I mean, at the same time, if you could somehow figure out a dude that can change his face, I mean, why not?
Well, and that's where you want to be a little careful because they tried a version of that in Gotham in one of the later seasons, and it did not work. It was really dumb. He was basically just a guy who could put on masks. He was really good with masks, and I'm like, that's not Clayface. That's just a guy who's really good at impersonating people. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
it kind of defeats the purpose. So like that's not Clayface. Part of what makes Clayface is that he's made of clay. That's kind of the whole thing. It's in the
Yeah.
name. It's like saying like, oh, here's a guy named Scarecrow, but he dresses like a crow. The scare part's just kind of there. Like you're focusing on the wrong part of his name to base the character off of. So I like this in the sense that like we're getting more and more confirmation that like, okay, yeah, they are moving forward with all the stuff with Robert Pattinson's Batman. Matt Reeves is locked in, and that makes me very happy and excited.
Yes, I agree.
which is an interesting thing to say considering well, let's go to this other piece of news first. So apparently they had already written a script for a sequel to The Flash. This is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. There was already a script for a sequel locked down, and I don't know if that script is going to survive the next year, plain and simple.
Or the next month, depending on what Black Adam does. But that's my
Yeah,
theory that everybody keeps getting mad at me about.
I know. I have tickets to see it. We're recording this on a Wednesday. I have tickets to see it Friday after work. So the reviews I've seen so far have been mixed to positive. I've seen a couple people who didn't really like it, but for the most part, it seems people are saying like the movie's fine to pretty good, and that the post credit scene, which look at this point, if you don't know what it is, you haven't been on the internet because Dwayne Johnson has all but said exactly what the post credit scene is in every interview he's given. He's all but spoiled the entire freaking movie. So it's interesting to see it. We were talking on the phone yesterday. It'll be really interesting to see that if either by being a great movie or reintroducing something to the DCEU, that Black Adam is the movie that saves it all. It's a what a weird world we live in.
I mean, I'm not rooting against The Rock. I'm not rooting against the film. I'm not getting the vibe it's going to do what they're hoping it's going to do. But at the same time, look at Jumanji.
Look, The Rock's got staying power, man. Which, when you compare that to 20 years ago, he was box office poison.
Yeah.
But and that goes into kind of this last piece of news, which is that apparently that Warner Brothers is now finally moving forward with a new Superman film starring Henry Cavill in the DCEU. Now, this gives me several different feelings. One, yay, finally, thank God, what took you so long? Number two, oh, so Dwayne Johnson really was just spoiling everything. Like, if this is not confirmation of everything Dwayne Johnson's been beating around the bush with, then I don't know what else would be. Because he did give an interview recently where he said that part of the reason Black Adam took so long to make was because the the old regime at Warner Brothers had no interest in doing anything else with Henry Cavill's Superman, which is bizarre to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, look, The Rock comes from wrestling and he's an amazing hype man. And nope, nothing against him. Like, hey, you got to sell your movie, you got to sell yourself. He's charismatic as all get out. Do I buy that that's what's going on here? I mean, considering the track record of DC and nothing ever making sense, if that's the story he wants to tell, fine. If it gets me Superman, perfect. Do I really think that's what happened? I don't know. I
Hey,
think, yeah,
go ahead.
who
I'm sorry.
knows? No, I don't know. But I mean, ultimately, like if it sells this movie and this movie continues to be a success and lets the DCEU continue on and they actually can right this ship and get something going that's moderately interesting or even interesting, I'm down for it. Whatever version of this is, I think this new regime has definitely shown that they don't give two craps about what came before. And like, yeah, like, I mean, the biggest question mark in everybody's mind when it comes to the DCEU is, why is Superman not the center?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got Henry Cavill, who, as a straight man, I even have to say, that's a good looking dude.
I'd let him.
Yeah.
I'd let him. I
Like,
would 100% let him.
I don't know if I'd let him, but I don't know if I'd fight him. But my point is, like, you've got an amazing casted character. You've got an amazing actor. It's not like he just looks the part. I mean, he's great in everything I've seen him in. And you've got the most famous superhero of all time. You know what I mean? Yes, Marvel has done a good job of putting their characters on the map, but you put that S up, everybody knows what it is.
And actually, Matt, I gotta unfortunately interrupt us. I've got some breaking news as we're recording this.
Oh?
Walter Hamada is officially no longer the president of DC Films
Cool.
as we're recording this. Now, this is the guy who Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg, has been coming out against vocally nonstop over everything that had transpired with Joss Whedon and with Justice League. He's been calling for this to happen for a long time. There have been lots of accusations levied against Walter Hamada over the last year, especially during COVID with the Snyder cut coming around. And then also with everything going on with Ezra Miller still being kind of just getting away with everything at Warner Brothers. Now it seems no, he is out. He is officially out as president of DC Films.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see some things actually happening.
Well, and you also have to figure that The Rock. Now, to go to the other thing, I do think there is some legitimacy to what The Rock is saying about them not wanting to do anything with Henry Cavill Superman, because if that were not true, they'd have done something by now. Like, all you have to do is look at the fact that it's been 10 years since he had a movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course it makes sense that that's probably true. And I feel like that The Rock coming out and just spilling all the tea in the last couple of weeks, along with the fact that Ezra Miller has pled not guilty to the charges and is now awaiting trial and could face up to 26 years in prison. I think this is just the levee finally broke and he's out. And that means that probably for next week, we'll probably have some more news to discuss, because I have a feeling that some stuff's going to break between now and then.
Okay. So do we both want to agree that Ezra Miller has been replaced as the Flash before it becomes breaking news? Or do we want to wait until there's an official announcement?
I'm waiting until there's an official announcement, because this just got posted. This came from Deadline less than an hour ago. It just showed up on my Twitter feed. So we'll see what happens between now, when we're recording this. You guys are hearing this on a Friday morning. We're recording this on a Wednesday afternoon. Oh, we'll see. Lots of things are about to break here, and we could be in for some big changes here soon.
Well, and the only thing I will defend is that the 3 movies that Superman was in are all very divisive and nowhere near as profitable as they thought they would be. So I don't know if it's an intentional they hated Superman, or more we're going to go with what has been working for us, which is, Wonder Woman, apparently Aquaman. For some inexplicable reason, that movie went over $1 billion. But
it's the Jason Momoa effect.
I think it is. But at the same time, dude, yeah, I've said it a long time. The fact that the moment Man of Steel was a hit, they didn't have a button to press to go into a sequel directly for him is insane. And just shows that they had no faith in the project whatsoever.
It continues to paint the picture that they, much like Sony, with the way they've handled some of their comic book properties as of late, just have no idea what they're doing. When you look at what happened with Morbius, with the whole, oh, our movie's trending, let's re-release it. No, it's not trending for a good reason, guys. Or it goes to show that just they really did not have a plan and had no idea what they were doing, that they did not immediately lock in for a sequel.
Well, and I think too, what I would almost dare say, and it's very obvious considering Black Adam's arch nemesis has had a movie and has another one coming out. I think The Rock agreed to play Black Adam, not knowing who he was, and then realizing like, whoa, I'm not going to be a bad guy in somebody else's movie. I have to have my own movie. And he may be held out for that until they would be willing to do that. I don't know. Because it just seems...
I remember when this got announced that he was going to be Black Adam, that it was going to be, I mean, from the get, it was going to be its own movie. And by all accounts, it seems like he is a huge fan. Like it's no secret The Rock's a nerd. The Rock is a nerd. Like, that has not ever been a secret. I feel like a lot of it was just, they just couldn't get the script right. And then when they just could not get anybody to, I think the Superman of it all, definitely does play a factor. I don't think it's the main reason, but I do think it was a factor.
Yeah, that's possible. Well, we'll see for sure. I think that I think Black Adam's going to be the thing. That I keep saying it, and I'm going to stick to my guns on it. If Black Adam isn't a huge success for them, I don't think you see a single DC film going forward. I think they release what they have, fix what they have, and then I think we just wait for Matt Reeves to take over the DC film industry with all of his Batman based stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, I think
And I
everybody.
hope I'm wrong. You know what I mean? It's not like I want
Sure.
it to fail. You
Yeah, no,
know,
no, we're not rooting for anything. I never root for anything to fail, except maybe the Flash. I haven't decided yet, but there's just it's just one of those. It's like there's so many people involved in the making of a movie. I never like the idea of a movie being shut down because of one person's actions, because it's like, yeah, I know you want to punish that one person, but you're punishing like 100 others, and I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like I understand the urge to cancel a movie because it's got a certain person in it. I understand that urge because again, you kind of want to stick it to that terrible person, but there are writers and production teams and hair and makeup people and hundreds of other people that have worked on a movie that are about to be out a lot of money if you do that. I don't like that. So
well, and that's why to me, the moment he started getting into problems, I don't understand why Warner Brothers didn't instantaneously go get him.
yeah, it just shows. And again, I think this plays into why Walter Hamada is now out, because I think that the powers that be with Warner Brothers Discovery are finally taking a look at it and saying, "Hey, Walter, we've given you enough slack. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Go that way. Go away."
Yeah. We are giving you the opportunity to seek a different position somewhere else.
Yeah, we're gonna need you to go ahead and resign. So yeah, we've all been in that position at some point in our lives. So that's all the big breaking DC news, one of which just broke while we were taping this. So we'll see what happens between this week and next week, man. And in the meantime, guys, we had so much fun making this episode of our show with this repitch of what a phase one of DCEU could have looked like 10 years ago. This is part two. Part three, our final part three will be next week. We had so much fun making these, so please continue to listen to them and enjoy them. We had a lot of fun with this, and just so yeah, that's it for the news. So sit back and relax and enjoy part two of our repitch of DCEU Phase One. All right, so now we are continuing into our pitch for how to do a proper phase one of the DCEU. We just did, previously, we did our pitch for what would happen after Man of Steel. I pitched Batman City of Crime, which was a merger of the City of Crime story arc and Death in the Family. Matt snorted some cocaine and decided to go into Justice League. So now we're getting into what our third movies would be. And Matt, so what would your third movie be in phase one?
My third movie would be The Flash.
Okay.
Because what I would do is I would now get into these sub characters, the characters that we haven't played with yet. So Man of Steel is Superman by himself. You know, Batman up to this point has had 7, 8 movies, 50 cartoon, the Batman. So for me, Batman's going to be this character that drifts in and out of everybody's movies, but isn't quite going to get his own film just yet. So Flash is my third film out of the gate, and I recast the Flash.
Okay.
And I'm going to do something I shouldn't do that's moderately blasphemous, but I'm going to run with it anyway, is because my thing was there was already a story and a TV show about Barry Allen. So I would have my Flash be Wally West.
Okay. All right.
And given that these timelines are, given that at this point we have not established what has come before Man of Steel, we've played with it in Justice League. Nothing says that this Flash who gets his powers this way from the Green Lantern, from Abinsur's, ship exploding, is the first Flash. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he isn't. But I'm doing Wally West So I'm going to cast him really young, and I'm going to use this up and coming actor who's on the show called the Shannara Chronicles, called Austin Butler,
Oh, why do I know that name? Oh, I know that name.
because he was Elvis.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I'm,
So remember, this is 6-7 years
I'm on
ago.
board. I'm on board.
So he's in the middle of Shannara Chronicles. I think it may have been canceled at that. Who knows? But he's this really good actor. He did a play. Eventually, Denzel Washington loves him, but he is my Flash. And his story is more leaning into the Flash, not only as a superhero, but a forensic scientist, so that you get his intelligence and what he's doing. And what I have is his villain he's going up against is Captain Cold. And
Oh,
Captain
nice.
Cold is going to be played by James McAvoy.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So it's going to just be this crime street level-ish story of the Flash having to stop this guy who has, you know, he can stop him if he can find him, but Captain Cold is very intelligent, working around him. And, Batman will appear somewhere, maybe the end credit scene. Maybe he goes to Batman for advice, but Batman's going to be that guy because, like you said a little while ago, is I'm keeping Ben Affleck as Batman. I'm keeping a Batman that's been around for probably maybe 7, 8, and 10 years because I like the idea of Batman being the most seasoned and veteran guy that but actually make him intelligent and be able to do things. Because Ben Affleck's problems, the problems I have with Batman are not Ben Affleck. I thought I liked Ben Affleck's casting. I think he plays what he needs to play in the writing, but the writing is bad. So I would keep him as Batman. I would just change my Flash. So, and then that would be my Flash movie is the Flash going against Captain Cold and end credits of, maybe Batman coming back and saying, "Hey, good job. You know, call us if you need us." I don't know. I didn't really plan on end credit sequences, but that is my third movie is the Flash.
Okay. All right. See, that's a little more sensible. It's a little more sensible. Here's the fun thing about Austin Butler too, because I'm looking at his Wikipedia right now, is he's no stranger to the world of DC because he was in 3 episodes of Arrow. He played a member of the League of Assassins that posed as a DJ to get in with Thea in season 3. And he was also in. I just remembered he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's one of the guys that goes and tries to kill Sharon Tate.
Okay. I haven't seen any of those things. I didn't stick around for the Arrowverse very long.
I mean, I jumped ship on it, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's a very good movie, and I am not a Tarantino fan, but it's a very good movie. Okay. No, yeah, I like it. I like that as your third movie in your second pitch, but your third movie in. So mine, I tend to have my post credit scenes tease what the next movie is going to be. So since I teased Hal Jordan as Green Lantern at the end of Batman City of Crime, my next movie in 2015 is Green Lantern Emerald Knight.
Nice.
I gave it the name Emerald Knight because one, that's kind of a cheat. Yeah, but also calling it just Green Lantern, this is not that far removed. This is only 4 years away from the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern, so let's call it something different to give that slight degree of separation.
Sure.
It's Nathan Fillion in shape, in Mal from Firefly shape. Similar to Wonder Woman, a lot of this movie is flashbacks. Okay. It's your typical Green Lantern story. It's space cops. It's a space cop movie. So it takes place both in modern day and in the past. In the past, it's him first getting the ring and training with Sinestro, and we also then couple that with modern day. Someone is screwing with the Guardians, screwing with Oa. They think it might be a saboteur. It's Sinestro, because of course it is, because it's a Green Lantern movie. And how is Sinestro not the bad guy of a Green Lantern movie? His name is Sinestro. Come on. And so that, yeah, it's a space cop movie. That's what it's meant to be. That's all it should ever be in Green Lantern, is a space cop movie. Give me The Departed in space with power rings. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And the movie's going to end in modern day with Hal returning to Earth from all this Sinestro mumbo jumbo and being told he's being contracted out to go work and check out the Kryptonian ship, which is where we see him in the post-credit scene in Batman City of Crime. So it kind of just, this movie just kind of ends leading up to where we see him in that post-credit scene in my Batman movie. It's a pretty straightforward movie. I didn't get too crazy with this one because it's like, yeah, it's a Green Lantern space cop movie. It writes itself. It's got Nathan Fillion in it. That's really all you need. It's about time Nathan Fillion played Green Lantern for real. Now, my two post-credit scenes are where it gets a little more interesting.
Okay.
Post-credit scene is after he goes to the Kryptonian ship. He goes and shows his findings of the Kryptonian ship to the Guardians because he's like, hey, all this just happened on Earth. You know, you guys kind of said that Earth doesn't really matter a whole lot, and it was hard for me to even get into being a Green Lantern in the first place. But I found this transmission that I cannot decode because Kryptonians have been gone. Because you remember the wormhole stuff that the Kryptonian ships went through, travel through space and time.
Yeah.
So I'm playing this as Krypton was destroyed tens of thousands of years ago. Like, it has been a long time since Krypton was destroyed. And he's basically saying, look, there's something powerful and dangerous and ancient and Kryptonian that we have like no information on it. All I could find was this symbol repeating over and over again, and it's Brainiac's logo.
Nice. I like it.
Post-credit scene number 1 done. Post-credit scene number 2 is at the Arctic crater where the Kryptonian ship was buried in Man of Steel. And they've got, you know, excavation team there because there's still some tech and stuff that was left behind from those early settlers who were there, those early Kryptonians who were there. And we see Colonel Swanwick once again. He's like, hey, I've hired out this archivist from the Smithsonian to catalog some of these items for study. And it's a gorgeous raven-haired woman named Diana Prince, who I have recast and is now being played by Alexandra Daddario.
Okay. I can see that.
Because here's the thing. She's the same age as Gal Gadot, number 1. I think that's important to remember. They're like less than a year apart. She also is no stranger to playing in the Greek mythology sword and shield kind of stuff. She was in those god-awful Percy Jackson movies. But she does like fight and train. She trained to fight and stuff in those movies. And so she's not far off from being able to pull this off. And she has got some of the strikingest blue eyes I've ever seen. And that's always been a thing with Wonder Woman, is she has these big, bright blue eyes and this long black hair and looks like she could kick your ass just as much as she could seduce you. So Alexandra Daddario is a beautiful woman. So, and I like Gal Gadot just fine. It's not a slight against Gal Gadot, but I want someone who's more of an established actor to play Wonder Woman. I went, and also just for the sake of fun, sure, let's recast it. Alexandra Daddario. My next movie is going to be Wonder Woman.
Okay, perfect. And you know, Alexandria, whatever her name is, she actually has a figure, so I'm on board with that.
And it's not even just that. It's just I buy it. Like, you put anybody in the armor, and yeah, they look like Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot, I think, has done a better job than I think a lot of people give her credit for. Although Wonder Woman 84 is just god awful movie. But Alexandra Daddario, there's almost a kind of like gentleness to her, because when she's in that first Percy Jackson movie, that movie sucks, but she is so good at being this intense kind of emotionally ambivalent type character, because that line she has with him, she's kind of like, I know I have strong feelings for you, I don't know if they're positive or negative yet. It's like, that is such a Wonder Woman thing to say.
Yeah,
buy that totally. So, and we know she's good at playing in an ensemble because there's a lot, she's playing with a lot of different actors in those movies. So that's my pick for Wonder Woman.
Okay, that makes sense. No, that's cool.
Any questions?
Nope. So far, I mean, we're similar in a way. My fourth movie is Green Lantern.
Okay.
And my fourth movie, it's similar to you. You know, it's Green Lantern. It's Sinestro as the villain. I cast. You're gonna crap your pants. I did not use who you think I used as Green Lantern.
Really? You didn't use Captain Kirk?
I did not. I used
Okay.
Jensen Ackles.
Oh, nice. Very good. I'm on board with that idea. Very good.
He's
You get to live another day, Matthew.
I appreciate it. He comes in, and this kind of comes from, I almost made a fan film of Green Lantern a long time ago. So there's a couple things I'm going to play with. Number one, it is going to extend what we briefly see in the Justice League movie of how he gets the ring and his origin and how he's trained by Sinestro. But then we're going to gap a couple years, and this movie is going to start with Sinestro killing a Green Lantern. And then what happens is Sinestro then comes to Earth to kill Hal Jordan, who is at this point has become the best Green Lantern of all time. So he wants to kill him. So it's not a earth shattering, world saving. It's literally Sinestro going, F this dude, I'm killing him, and Hal Jordan having to survive. And there is this scene I always wanted to do in that fan film. I even had the jet designed where Hal Jordan is doing his job being a test pilot and Sinestro shows up and attacks him. So what you have is Hal Jordan in a jet using his ring to defend himself from Sinestro, who is attacking him. So it's like a dogfight in a jet, Top Gun style, but it's Sinestro as the MiG.
Okay. All right.
And then, of course, you got the normal back and forth, but it is literally just Sinestro pissed and wanting to kill him, and that's the storyline that this movie is. And yeah, that's it. I mean, it's just going to be this weird vendetta thing, and that's the reason why most of it takes place on Earth, because otherwise it wouldn't. But it's just about them kind of going at each other. And even Green Lantern is like, you betrayed us, I have to kill you too. So it just becomes this weird, almost pissing contest between these two men or these two beings trying to kind of like supremacy of the will against fear, and maybe hint at he's able to defeat him because he can tap into some weird stuff that maybe second Green Lantern movie would be the phalanx or whatever that one thing is where he becomes evil. But we're not going to get into that right now. This is the first movie, so that is my fourth film of phase one for DC is the Green Lantern movie. There we go. Oh, I forgot. And this is where, okay, so since Suicide Squad and my thing is wiped out of existence, it frees up somebody who at the time was at the top of their game. So I cast Will Smith as Sinestro.
Okay. I'm into that. He's got the mustache.
So that's my pick. Will Smith is my Sinestro. Jensen Ackles is my Green Lantern. They're fighting.
I want to see Will Smith play a proper villain. He was great as Deadshot. I want to see him play a proper evil villain, plain and simple.
Yeah.
So yeah, similar to you, like Suicide Squad is not happening. It's not happening in mine either. That is something that I don't want to be introduced to all these villains in the same movie. I want to meet them beforehand so I can give a shit. Kind of like what Marvel's doing right now with Thunderbolts. Now we've had all these villains. Cool. Now we can do a Thunderbolts movie. So I tease the creation of, Joker and Harley as a couple, but I'm trying to introduce time passing here as well.
Yeah.
Because like in the grand scheme of things, DC as it exists right now is taking place over the course of about a year and a half. That is way too short a period of time.
It's a lot of crap happening all at once.
Yeah. So anyway, I had Batman City of Crime, which teased Green Lantern Emerald Knight, which teased Alexandra Daddario as Wonder Woman. So now that same year as Green Lantern Emerald Knight, we get Wonder Woman in 2015, starring Alexandra Daddario. Matt, can you guess what happens in my Wonder Woman movie?
She goes against Cheetah and ends it in the Power Rangers villain's armor.
So close, yet so far. No, it's basically the same movie, just with a better third act.
Okay.
Like, because the biggest problem that Wonder Woman had was the third act was terrible. It wasn't good. It was so predictable and lazy and lame. So I just want to see it be something a bit more than just, oh, it was the god of war causing World War One all along. No, I like the idea that it was just people.
Yeah.
It was just men. Ares wasn't causing the war, but he was feeding off the hatred caused by the war. He feeds off that aggression. That's what makes him stronger, which is why killing Ares is stupid, because that's what he wants you to do.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing I want to change is she doesn't kill Ares, because essentially that's just going to make him weaker. It's going to make him weaker. And I want this timeline to line up exactly with the end of World War One. Basically, they're going to sign the treaties or whatever for World War One, and he is trying to keep that from happening, to keep the war going. She doesn't kill him. His plan to disrupt this treaty signing fails. They agree on peace. He sees this fresh unity coming together. She leaves him alive and says, no, I'm not going to give you what you want and kill you. You get to sit back and watch all this war come to an end and feel your strength leaving you. And we just kind of see him become this, like, yeah, his power is weakening and he's all pissed off. So he says, screw this, and goes back to wherever he hangs out when he's not on the mortal realm of Earth. But I also want to see, in Justice League, especially in the Snyder cut, at least, they mentioned about how like Amazonians and Atlanteans hated each other. Yeah. I want to see some of that, because Wonder Woman's been alive for thousands of years. I want to see like her fighting alongside the Amazons against the ancient Atlanteans. Let me see that. That is something I'd very much like to see. And she proves herself in battle. And none of this, oh, I stole all this armor. It's like, no, she was chosen to be this warrior leader of the Amazons because of her great show of force and battle against the Atlanteans. That's going to come back later, I promise you. But I want to see that world building again. So basically the same movie, it just ends a little bit better. And again, we build the world out a little bit more, and we make some of the things that are mentioned in later movies make some freaking sense and feel earned. Plain and simple. My 2 post-credit scenes. I put a lot more thought into the post-credit scenes than I did anything else, because I think that's a big thing that's been missing from these. So the first one is modern day Diana. She's back at the Smithsonian, checking out some artifacts recovered from the Kryptonian stuff. She's cataloging it. She's going through all this stuff. And they come across this tablet that depicts images. There's some Kryptonian text on it they can't translate. Obviously, they're trying to figure it out as they go. But she's looking at this tablet, and there are images on it depicting the taking of the city of Kandor, and we see Brainiac's symbol on it.
Okay.
That's post-credit scene number 1. Post-credit scene number 2. The Kryptonian ship is now like all stationary and set up in Metropolis like it is in BVS. And they've begun erecting and setting up the science facility labeled Star Labs, which is being run by Colonel Swanwick, because of course it is, because he's been attached to all this stuff. And at one point they mentioned that they've gotten a big boost in funding from one Mr. Lex Luthor. End of scene.